Hey, good vibes only. Sip on some tea. Do you accept any type of vibes in your life? Good, bad, neutral, negative, or positive? Well, it's time to change that to good vibes only. That's what this episode about. My name is Edward Giles, aka the Holistic Motivator. I want to thank everybody for coming back here on Monday. Monday is the time where you want to start your week off with some good vibes. Like it's not just something you say, it's something you do. Why? The benefit of that is it ripples into your entire week. The way you set the tone for the week has like a mindset kick, and that mindset kick gives you that kick every day. A lot of times, Monday mornings, oh God, I gotta go back to work, I gotta go back to this whole thing. So our vibes get out of whack. And because of that, we have an out of whack week. So I'm here today to talk about creating and accepting good vibes only. What did I do this morning to create good vibes? I woke up this morning and D Nice was playing. So I went on Instagram and I saw D Nice and I was thinking to myself, oh, let me see what music he's playing today. And all of a sudden he was playing some gospel music. And I was like, whoa, this gospel music is so uplifting. And I was just singing and listening to the gospel music and just really staying tuned to it. And as I stayed tuned to it, my spirit got uplifted while listening to that gospel music, while listening to some positive messages about my ability as a being to overcome circumstances, to not be stuck to where I currently am. So when I was listening to the gospel music, all of a sudden my mood changed. This morning I woke up, like I said, with intention. I was like, well, let me wake up in a way today that's going to be more clear for me. So the first thing I did was I prayed and then I started journaling, reviewing the week, and then I listened to some gospel music. That put me on a high plane, high energy, high vibe, which is helping me be able to serve, to do this at a high vibration. So I said all of that to say is the way you start your day does not only just affect you, it affects your works and it affects the people that get affected by your works. So a lot of times we think that we only prime our lives or prime our days from our own benefits. But the truth of the matter is you're not just doing it for you, you're doing it for your business, you're doing it for your family, you're doing it, you prime yourself up so that you can show your best face and your holiest self. I was thinking today, I was like, bruh, there's a level that I can be at, not for my glory, but for the glory of God. And I was like, that level can be full clarity, full communication with the divine, and fully living in my purpose 100%, which means living in prosperity, being able to let that bleed or pour that into somebody else's life. When I was thinking about that, I was like, what would my life look like if I was 100% in one with the divine, where I can live out my mission without being selfish, being completely selfless in accordance to the laws of the Most High? How can I actually do that? I was like, well, I got to detox my life. So I was watching a show yesterday, P Valley. Don't know which one of y'all watching P Valley, but a lot of people watching P Valley. And I was just thinking about the hyper sexualization, or I don't know if that's a word, or over sexualizing the people on the race on the show. And I was thinking to myself, like, yo, do I want to consume that energy? And I was also thinking to myself, is this the way I want to be? So as I was watching the show, I was very conscious of what was happening in the show. And then as I saw myself watch the show, I thought to myself, well, listen, is this the way I want to be? Do I want this show to impact my subconscious mind? And then I thought about to the moment where I didn't watch TV and the clarity that gave me, being able to not have to depend on a screen to create images for me, but I could depend on my mind to imagine in my imagination the images I want. So I was thinking like, yo, this vibrations that I'm getting from these shows, I don't control which vibrations I get. I control how I perceive the vibration or if I even notice that this vibration is coming in, but I don't control what's being sent out. Like TV is literally vibration, is literally energy, is frequencies, right? TV is the way you're able to watch TV or listen to the radio is because of a frequency that is transferring the images in air, literally in air, right? And how does that happen? You're like, well, satellites. Well, that's because information is transferred through hertz, sound waves, which means that everything at the end of the day is sound, resonance. When you watch the TV, if you're not conscious of it, whatever is transmitting unto you is going to resonate with a part of you. Now, this might be your subconscious mind, and it might just be fueling up a story about yourself that you were completely unaware of. So, a lot of times, we're being formed by being informed, which means as we watch the news or we watch a show or we watch a movie, we think we're just getting informed, but we're getting information because they're getting you in a form, which means as whatever images are portrayed to you, that vibration goes into your subconscious mind. And what your subconscious mind does is it takes that information and it puts your subconscious information, which means it organizes your view of the world based on what you keep viewing with your two eyes. Which means as we take in the frequency and vibration from television, we are being programmed to think, act, and react the way that the characters on the television is thinking, acting, and reacting. That's what being programmed is. That's why they call it television program because it's programming you. So when I talk about good vibes only, I'm not just talking about getting good vibes or sharing good vibes with your friends. I'm talking about also the vibration that you get from screens because you might say good vibes only when you're around your homeboys, but when you get on social media, you're not operating in that good vibe. And you might ask me, what do you mean? Well, when you get on social media, you're not controlling what you're scrolling through. Somebody said, how do I control what I scroll through? I don't really control it. Well, the only thing you can control is who you choose to follow. So that will dictate what you see. Who you choose to follow will dictate what you see. This is not a social media concept. This is a life spiritual principle. Who you choose to follow will dictate what you see. What does that mean? Let's say I chose to follow an atheist, and the atheists have made sure that I do not see any God in this world, that there is no God. And in listening to this person over and over, I've followed their vision or their ideas, and now I only see what they see. So over time, who we choose to get influenced by dictate what we see. So what we focus on is then what allows us to see certain things. You're like, hmm, who I choose to follow dictate what I see. Okay, so if you choose to follow not just what's on the TV that's going to dictate how you see the world, or if you choose to follow Fox News, you might see the world completely different than somebody who chooses to follow MSNBC. So whoever you choose to follow allows you to see yourself differently. Now, as you follow me, I'm allowing you to see something differently. So everybody you follow allows you to see something in a specific way, which means we gotta be conscious of who we follow, not just on the gram, not just on the social media, but on TV, IRL, in real life, who we follow by what we read, who we follow by who we hang out with or who we look up to, who we follow by, as in, do we follow toxic energy? Remember what I said, who you follow will dictate what you see. Well, let's say you want good vibes only in your life and you're wondering why you are not getting any good vibes. The problem about who you surround yourself is a lot of times who you follow, the mirror that you're supposed to look at to show you yourself does not show you your true self if every time you look at it, you are convinced that what you're looking at is the right thing. The mirror does not show you the true self if every time you look at the mirror and it convinces you that you have nothing to change. Oftentimes, if you look at the mirror, you're going to see something you can improve. If you look at a mirror and you see nothing you can improve, then the mirror is probably lying to you, or it's a spit image of you so you can't see your flaws. What do I mean by that? Your friends are all mirrors. And when you look at them, if you see you, you won't see anything wrong, which means you can look at your friends and see toxicity. And you're like, I'm not toxic, I'm not toxic. I'm not here to say you're toxic, but I'm here to say the way that a person is being might be the toxicity. And also the people they're surrounding themselves that they have to respond in toxicity. But because they're doing it so much, it's hard to even realize that, hey, I'm in a toxic spot right now. You don't even know it because the mirror you're looking at is just as dirty or just as toxic. And I'm not here to make feel bad about that toxicity, but I'm putting it in a way that you could literally visualize it. So what do I mean by that? So you might be interacting in a way with somebody that's very toxic. Like, I love you, but if you do something wrong with me, do something wrong to me, or you don't communicate with me, not only am I going to ignore you, but then I'm going to do something to get back to you on social media. I'm going to be petty in some way or some sort. Now, the other person does it, you do it, they do it, and you're like, we're just being petty. And in reality, you're like, "Ah, that's okay, right? It's just, this is what we do." Or here's the worst, is when social media posts normalize the toxicity and accept the toxicity. Oh, okay, we have a question. The question is, as we collect information, cognitive illusions is created because of our programming has taught us to ignore. Yes. So I have a coined term called ignitrance. It comes out of ignorance. And it comes out of ignoring so much that you get in a trance, hence called ignitrance. The lack of knowing the right thing causes you to say that the wrong thing is the right thing, staying in the wrong thing long enough to the point where you're in a trance, unconsciously living life in a trance without knowing it, which means doing something automatically because you've ignored what you ought to focus on. And as we ignore that, we get in an ignorant trance. I don't know if that answers your question, but a lot of times when we are living in ignorance and we choose to ignore the facts, what happens is when you ignore the facts, you don't see the truth and you choose not to see the truth. The worst thing is not to not be able to see because of your company, but the worst thing is to choose not to see regardless if your eyes can see. There's a verse that says, if you have a peck in your eye and I have a peck in my eye, why would I take it out of your eye? Or there's also a verse that says, two blind men cannot lead each other because they will only just fall into a ditch. Now, what does that mean? Two blind men cannot lead each other because they will fall into a ditch. Well, let the blind cannot lead the blind, which means if you're unaware If you're living in darkness, it means you're blind. Now, does being blind mean that you cannot walk? No, it just means that you cannot see what's in your way, but you still walk, except you just hit things along the way. That's what a lot of times people say, life is not going right for me, and I just keep getting in these tough circumstances and things. Well, something might be blocking your vision. Temporary blindness, which means you're living in darkness because maybe your sun went down. What's temporary blindness? Is when your sun goes down and you confuse it as the sun went down. What do I mean by that? What's the difference between your sun going down and the sun going down? Let's think of the sun, which it is, as a source of life. What is your source of life? Health and vitality. When you're healthy and vital, you feel full of life. The sun is healthy and vital because it's full of light. Why is it? That's why it's full of light. So when your sun goes down, which means your health goes down, it's not as vibrant as it used to be. You get in a depressive state, or you feel bad, or you get in a dark mood. You feel like you're in the dark because in your personal reality, you are in the dark. But that doesn't mean that the sun went down. So last week I talked about like connecting back to the source and not solely depending on your ability. So in our lives, sometimes our sun sets. It's when we are in our dark moment and we feel like, yo, it's hard to overcome this situation. Our sun sets, but that doesn't mean that the sun sets, which means that there is still light even though you are in darkness. Which means if there's still light while you're in darkness, it means then that you can go towards the light. When you think about going towards the light, you think about dying. But the thing about death, when we think about it, is we think of a physical form automatically getting away. But going towards the light in this sense does not mean dying as in your physical self dying, but dying to your old ways so you could be reborn again, so you could be more in tune with your spiritual self. So this may be touchy to talk about in regards to darkness and dying because there are a lot of things that goes with that. And people thinking about you, I don't want to live my life anymore, and I don't want to confuse the words and confuse you or get you in that state. So I won't stay on that subject for too long, but I will stay on the subject of life to say that in your dark moments, you can kill off your old ways and be born again in a spiritual fashion in which you get in touch with the light. So in your moment of darkness, it's better to connect to the source, to the light. That's how you get the good vibes. So this morning when I woke up and I told you I was listening to D Nice and he got the gospel music going, my spirits just went up. There's something about gratitude and praising God that brings your spirits up. So I was like, praise is not just to show gratitude to the one, but is to rejoice within yourself, to connect to the light. So I was like, if love and gratitude are the most powerful emotions on the planet, love and gratitude are the most powerful emotions, energies, and motions, love and gratitude. And we get all of that when we sing, when we pray, and when we rejoice. Why don't we rejoice, pray, and vibe in high energies so that we can stay in love and gratitude? Like being thankful for everything and showing all embracing, all encompassing love toward everybody, everything, and God. And that will bring up your vibration. That's gonna get you to that good vibes. I was like, yo, I was able to literally vibrate higher because I was having that spiritual connection. So what are some other ways you can vibrate higher? Well, the foods that you eat are also giving you light. So there is chi in everything. The Chinese call it chi, you can call it energy. So there's energy in everything. As I sip some tea, there is energy in the tea. The ginger, which is anti-inflammatory. I got cloves in there. I got the burdock root for the liver. I got cinnamon in there, which is going to boost up my metabolism. There's so many things in this tea that's giving me chi, that's giving me life. Those are elements that are going into my body and changing up or boosting up my physiology, which means what I'm drinking is actually energy being consumed, changing up my vibes. Yesterday, I'm not going to lie to you, but I had a Sprite bottle, a small can of Sprite soda. Mind you, I don't drink soda, but I was like, let me just try some soda. I paid for it. I paid for it because automatically I felt like crap. So my vibes went off. When I drank soda, my body, my digestion, I felt bubbles. I felt weird. I automatically felt horrible. And I knew that I was going to pay for my sin of taking in something that's not good for me. And automatically I felt trash. So this morning I'm like, yo, I gotta wake up, run, and drink my vegetable juice because I am not taking that chance anymore. So whatever you're taking into your body is going to change up your vibe. That's why sometimes when you feel constipated, you don't feel like doing crap. You feel foolish, right? You constipated, which means you gotta watch what you put into yourself and the amount of it that you're putting in. One of the major things is if you want to have really good vibes, try not to be too full of stuff. Reason why I say that is the more stuff you got in you, the more you're weighted down. And by being weighted down, I mean the more you feel heavy, as if you're literally carrying heavy load. Not just in your heart, but in your colon. And why would you want to carry heavy loads in your heart, in your mind, in your colon? Don't do that to yourself. You gotta clear out your small and large intestines, clear out your colon, take in detoxifying foods, and take in all of the herbs and the digestive enzymes from the vegetables that's going to allow your digestive system to rest. One prominent way of doing that is by taking in liquids rather than solids when you first wake up. So you want to have that good vibes in the morning, and if you're full of you won't be able to do that. So how do you get rid of it? Well, detox. I have a plan on actually detoxing for the next few days, staying away from solid foods and only drinking liquid. When you wake up first in the morning, you want to allow your body to detoxify itself, get rid of things. That's usually when you go to the bathroom and get rid of your heavy loads, right? So you don't want to put in heavy loads when you're weighted down. You want to make way for your body to get rid of its heavy loads by not putting stuff in, which means don't eat too much before you go to sleep because you want to wake up in good vibes. If you have too much food right before you go to sleep, your body's going to try to digest all of that food and it's going to throw your sleep out of whack, which is going to throw your morning out of whack. And also, you will not give your body space enough to recuperate and to revamp so that in the morning you can get ready to start your day. So don't fill up your belly because that's going to fill up your mind. All right. It's not going to fill up your spirit. So the message is to raise your vibration. Don't over consume food and consume the right food at the right time. Don't eat too late because then when you wake up, you'll be all out of whack. So, in even the first 4 hours after you wake up, liquids only, so you can give your space, your body time to get rid of all the ish in your body. So that's what you do in the morning to detoxify your vibration, to raise up your vibration. So energies in motion. Energies in motion that get stuck become solid rock. The one thing that could have been flowing like water is iced up, causing your heart to feel cold and your life to feel like you're in a winter season. Why? Because the stream is no longer flowing. Instead of flowing, it's freezing. So what causes streams to flow? Motion. How is it that the water, rivers, somehow always go back to the ocean and ocean goes back to the river? And the ocean never runs out and there are still rivers. I mean, how is that happening? How is that all that? Because it's a stream, because there's current, because the forces of nature is moving the water. Now, let's say the water stopped moving somewhere and it got really cold, it'll freeze up. Then you got yourself some ice stuff land. So, same thing with our spirit. Sometimes when we let our energies get compacted, get contracted, get stuck together, it becomes like solid ice. And then that's when our hearts get cold. That's when hot and cold, you heard that in Chinese medicine, you get cold and damp. And the reason for that is you need something to heat you up. You need some sun in your life. Remember what I said? When your sun goes down, it doesn't mean that the sun went down. Which means in your heart, when it's life is a little bit cold and you're like, yo, is the sun really shining? And you're in your depressive mode, sometimes you're too cold to get warm. And you need to get in the light so that you can get melted down so that you can flow again. So you can go in the flow and tell your chi where to go. How do you do that? How do you find some sunlight to do that? Well, one of the major things that really helped me get out of darkness, believe it or not, is audio, right? So just like in I'm speaking now in parables or hyperboles or whatever they call those. What that does is it takes you out of your cold moment and it brings you to a place of heat and light and comfort. What it also does is it fuels up your spirit. So sometimes when we're not able to do that, we need a voice. What I would do is I would listen to somebody like Jim Rohn all day. I listen to the Bible, listen to books, listen to all type of stuff all day. Like no negotiations, very little music. I listen to some smooth music throughout the day, but I would listen to something positive. Like I said this morning, I listened to gospel music. Better than shoot a nigga, blah blah. Way better than that. I was listening to gospel music so my spirits were enlightened. And also listen to these things. You can listen to me, listen to the podcast. You don't have to do it all day, but do it throughout different times of the day. What that is going to do is it's going to un whatever energy is stuck is going to give inertia to your energy to fuel that up. And then now with your mind is going to switch from being stuck to moving again. Now if you're watching this now, this may be happening as I speak right now. So it's taking you out of your current story and empowering a different story that's available for you. So that's what the light does. It says, stop looking over here at the dark moment in your life, but look at the light. And you're like, well, who are you? Are you the sun? Heck no. Nobody is the sun, but we are reflections of the sun, which means everybody is a light. We are the light of the world. And if we see one light somehow have been dimmed because of the challenges of life, which is understandable, acceptable, and part of the human experience, we must then say, hey, because I reflect the light of the divine, I got to step in. We can't just hold back anymore. I was reading something I wrote, and I'd love to read it for you, but I don't have the notebook. And it was about that there isn't much time as in there isn't time for people to hold back anymore. Why is that? Because not only does your life depends on it, but your friend life, your stranger's life, people's life are depending on your life. And you're like, what does that mean? Well, if you're a reflection of the sun, by the sun I mean God, if you're reflecting that, then the purpose is you should come here to be bright. And if there's a lot of darkness in the world, then it means you need more light. So you're getting called, and you're like, I don't know, maybe I was ice cold last week. Now I got the fire again. I don't know. How do I keep this fire up? Well, here's what I found out. If you share your fire, you'll fuel it. To share your light is to fuel your fire. To share your light is to fuel your fire. The fire of desire is fueled by sharing. Why is a lot of people not excited about life? Because they're not sharing their light. A lot of people are sharing their works, which means they share their hands, they're sharing their time, which means I give you an hour, you give me back money, I give you my time, I give you my skills, but they're not sharing their light. And because of that, they feel as if they're letting the world down. And because of that, they letting themselves down. And because of that, they get in a state where like, man, I need to do more with my life. And because of that, they get in a state of depression. Because of that, it's an ongoing cycle of not sharing their life. And then because of that, it's dissatisfaction with life. And then because of that, it's the ongoing cycle of sticking to sharing time, gifts, skills for money rather than sharing life for purpose. So that's why I gave up the whole idea of sharing time and skills for money to sharing light for the sake of living in my purpose. Because I realized that if I live my entire life creating a life for me without creating the life that God has set for me to create, then I have lived my life in misallocation of my life. And I choose not to do that. So that's why I wake up every day and I do this podcast and I post things. Even now, I'm getting a greater calling in my life to do a lot more as I realize that you are not given gifts, ideas, talents, abilities to just sit on them and feel good about them, you know. And when you look at your life to justify that, hey, at least I have these gifts and talents, you were given them so you can give thanks. I'm gonna leave it at this final thing. You're given gifts to give thanks. It says give thanks to the Most High. What does giving thanks mean? What is it? Don't say thank you, show thank you. Don't say thanks, give thanks. So what that means is you are grateful for everything that you have. And I said love, gratitude is the biggest emotion. God shows us a bunch of love. We should show love towards others and gratitude towards God as well as others. So you were given all this love and gratitude, and then somehow there was a thing that says, God says, give thanks. God is not saying give thanks back to me, as in keep saying gratitude, 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 and thanking God, but God is saying give thanks to the next man, give thanks to the world. Let your presence be a thank you to the world. What does it mean? Let your presence be a thank you to the world. Walking in gratitude, we're just noticing the tree and giving thanks to the planet. Like, how does that look like? You're walking down the street and you see a big rod on the road, a big uh, rod of cement. I don't know, something that's blocking the road. And you're a pedestrian and you're walking across the street and all these cars are about to hit you. You live in Miami or something. And you're like, if I leave this here, what will happen to them? Some people are going to say, if I get rid of this stick in the middle of the road, what will happen to me? What if somebody hits me while I try to get rid of this stick? I might die. What will happen to me? Some people say that. What will happen to me if I get rid of the stick in the middle of the road? But some people say, what will happen to them if I don't get rid of this stick? Will they get in an accident? Who might die if I don't act? And then that mentality says, I'm not just here to make sure I survive. I'm here to give thanks to the divine by giving forward, by giving it forward. So every day, we must not just think gratitude or express gratitude, we must act gracefully. To give thanks is not necessarily to just do good deeds towards the planet and other humans, but to give thanks is also to live gracefully. What does it mean to live gracefully? Well, what is gratitude all about? Is it just thankfulness, or is it just realizing that, hey, I am a piece of everything? And hey, if I am a piece of this leaf, you're like, how are you a piece of this leaf, Ed? Well, when I breathe in and I exhale, my CO2 fuels the plants. The plants gives up oxygen, which fuels me, and happens to create a leaf along the way. So technically, I am a leaf. So why would I not be grateful for the tree? I can stay outside and be like, look at the clouds and understand that, yo, because of my presence on this earth, I am a piece of everything because I'm energy in motion. And all elements that are in the world, at least 60 to 70% of them are within me. The kingdom of God is not only in man because the spirit is in man. The kingdom of God is literally in man because the elements of life that make up the tree make up the human being. And when we take the tree, the tree becomes a human being. When we eat the fruit becomes a human being. If you eat the chicken became you. So you're like, technically, at some point, my energy is going to be the chicken. So even if you choose to kill the chicken, you must kill it gracefully in a way that's not going to cause it tremendous pain and suffering. So that's what gratitude is about. Gratitude is not something you give to receive, it's something you give for the sake of giving. You don't say, hey, I need to thank God, so hopefully God can keep blessing me, because in the Bible, God says, if I'm not grateful, I will not get thanks. So I must be graceful so that I can get thanks. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're not living in gratitude. You're living in greed. Don't do that. That's not the right way. The right way is to just be grateful for the sake of. Now, let's say somebody does something good to you. You're not gonna say, "Hey, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for doing it," and then all saying good things just so they can do it again. You see, that's not gratitude. That's manipulation. You must say it because you're deeply impacted and you're deeply affected by what they did, and you want to express that in a way that you can give thanks. So I was thinking, I was like, hey, this person has done a lot of things for me. How can I add value to their lives? So when we think about giving thanks, we may think about giving thanks as a form of, I got to give you something, right? Something for something. We think sometimes giving thanks is something for something. You gave me something, I gave you something back, so that's a thank you. Well, giving thanks is not necessarily something for something, but it's it's a way of being in response to treasuring somebody. Not something for something, but something for someone. What does that mean? Well, it's recognizing, hey, John is a human being. John has always been there for me. John is a really nice being. I love John as a human being. Even if John gave me nothing in the world, I appreciate John. So when I see John, I'm like, John, you're a great person. You know that? And I really love you. And I'm grateful for your presence. You authentically say that to John. Not because you want John to think of you a different way, you want John to like you, and you want John to do something for you, but because you want to show John that you appreciate John, that you love him. And in doing that, that does not only give thanks to John, but it gives thanks to you. So when you be someone for someone, you become someone that is living not to get, but living to bless. And living to bless, you will be blessed. I don't need to worry about getting anything. I mean, when I wake up, I don't worry about what tomorrow brings. I feel a lot of times like, yo, I need to be doing more. Like, really, God has blessed me. And I need to bless more lives by being me. But I don't think about, oh, am I going to be able to to handle my family, is my finances. I don't even think about that. Why? Because I know that the only thing I need to focus on is how do I be a blessing. I don't need to focus on how do I get. I need to focus on how do I be a blessing. So every day I'm figuring out a way how to be a blessing. Look, what book I need to write, what course, what class, what system, what new thing I need to introduce. What are the products that are going to revolutionize people's lives? What are the podcasts that I need to do that's going to impact somebody's mindset? What is the post that I need to put out that's going to empower somebody? So every day, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. What is the thing I'm going to put out that's going to put in a new energy state or change up or give good vibes? So every day, I'm not thinking about getting things. I'm thinking about spreading good vibes. And I know that it's good to give thanks. You must be thankful. I'm gonna try to hear this one. This one is just download. To give thanks, we have to be thankful. We have to be full of thanks to give thanks. To bless, you gotta be full of blessings. To give success, you gotta be successful. So every day, I'm not saying, yo, what do I need to get? I'm like, who do I need to be and what do I need to get? So every day I'm not waking up thinking about, how am I, what do I have, where do I want to go? I'm thinking about, how do I share a little bit more of myself today? Lately, I've been getting calling to do it way more. But I said all of that to say is we must give thanks. So let me review for anybody who tuned in late. I want you to stay for the next 5 minutes as I conclude because it's going to be the quick review. And you may be wondering, hey, Ed, where do you get all this stuff from? How do you know all of this? Well, I always make a disclaimer. I do not claim to know all of this. I claim to be a vessel for all of it, which means I am just a representation and I'm just a vessel. And then in being a vessel, I'm figuring out how do I be a more clean vessel, right? So I thought about some of the things in my life, being a man, being a black man, and just like growing up, I was like, what are the things that may be toxic in my life that I need to get rid of so I be a cleaner vessel? And some of the things I noticed was, and one of the things I don't speak is being a black male, you get over sexualized. So I thought about myself and I was like, who do I need to help? And who do I need to be more of help? I was like, my intentions have to be completely pure. And even when my intentions are pure, I cannot let my attention be wavered because my subconscious mind has been programmed. So when I was watching P Valley the other day, I was like, yo, they are programming us to be over sexualized. And not only are they doing that, but they're adding confusion into it. I was watching a show and it was very confusing for me because it was completely weird. First of all, for me, I'm a straight male, right? And there was a stripper on the screen, and I'm really not gonna watch that show anymore. There was a stripper on the screen, and the scene was going from the stripper to, and I'm gonna say it, to homosexual sex on the screen. And I was like, this is really weird and very confusing for a guy or a girl watching, even if they were 5, 7, 10, or 12. Because what's happening is their mind, they're getting sexually aroused as they see a female, and then they're automatically seeing a male, and then a female, then a male, a female, then a male, all within about a second difference. Now, mind you, we couldn't even watch the thing, but I was thinking of how this was doing a rhetoric, or how this is over sexualizing not just men and women, but especially our black boys, because in saying that, they're going to get really confused. So I was thinking about my own life and the things I allow myself to see. I was like, you know what? I can't allow myself to see anything anymore. Like there are some things I need to really, really change my whole perception of how I see the opposite sex and how I see sex in general. So there are some things I can't even accept into my subconscious, which means I can't even look at them anymore because that's going to dilute the vessel so that my intentions are going to be too confusing. Even when my intentions are right, my body can speak differently. And I don't want any confusion in doing the works. So I said that because I feel like people need to think about this stuff because you can't just watch things and not realize what these things are doing to your mind. So that's why I was like, yo, I might need to stop watching TV. But here's the review to get back into it. So, raising your good vibration, start with your intention. Don't let your intentions get clouded by your subconscious actions. Subconscious actions or subconscious way of being is impacted by your vision. Who you choose to follow dictates what you see. Who you choose to follow dictates what you see because who you follow dictates the vision of where you're headed. So choose to follow the right being, the right spirit, and not anything. So that's very important. How you start your day and how you start your week is going to determine the vibration for the week and the day and the month. So start your day off well. Listen to some uplifting music. Listen to some positive messages such as this one. Things that keep you from looking at when your sun is down to look at that there is a sun up even when your sun is down. I talk about the concept that when we are in our dark moments, it seems like there is no sun and that we're in the winter of our lives. That the rivers in our minds that used to stream in a flowing fashion of peace is not frozen up and it's causing ice, cold, damp situations, not just in your heart, but in your mind and soul. And because of that, you feel cold and you feel down and depressed. I said, if you feel so cold right now, sometimes you just got to get alone in the presence of the reflection of the sun, not the sun per se, because we are not the sun. We reflect the light of the sun. But I said, if you want to go straight to the source and get enlightened, then you must go to God. But you can go to the reflections to help you, what I say, help you work your eye up so you can look at all that light. Here's the thing. When we're in a dark moment, there is darkness in our lives. We can't just look at the sun right away. That's why they have an in like a gatekeeper or a intermediary or a that's why there's a preacher. That's why there's a teacher. That's why you listen to somebody's words that will enlighten you so that now you can be able to receive more light. And I found that the quickest way to get out of a dark moment is through God. There are people who were super depressed and all of a sudden they prayed and went to church and their lives completely changed because they were able to connect spiritually at a deeper level. And what's missing in the personal development world, and where I've seen I'm black, and where I've seen that I've fallen off track, is that we don't even talk about that. We don't even bring it up because we're afraid of other people's perception when it's exactly what we need at times. Well, it's not that people are not receptive to it, it's just that they haven't been communicated to it with it or that information in a way where they can accept it without feeling judged or bad about themselves. And I believe that God is using me to converge these different things and bring it to you. So that's why I bring up these options. So we must connect to the light when we are in our darkness. And we must also guard the energies that we intake into our lives. That's the foods that we eat. If we want to live a life of good vibes only, we want to make sure that our colons, our small and large intestines, are not full of ish. If we want to live a life full of good vibes only, we want to make sure that our colon, our small and large intestines, are not full of ish. And what that means is you don't want to be backed up because if you get backed up, you're going to be fogged up. If you get stuffed up, you're going to be stuck. So if you get too constipated, you're going to get too stuck. Energy is going to stuck, and your vibrations are going to diminish. Not just, I'm not just saying this. This is scientific. So watch what you eat and watch when you eat. In the morning, try to stay to liquid. A vegetable juice would be your best option because then it'll allow your body to detox. At night, try not to eat late because then if you don't eat late and if you hit up Grounded Urban Minds and just join Instagram for your vegetable juice at night and in the morning so that you just detoxify your body, then you're gonna get rid of all that itch. So think about before 12 o'clock, you can get rid of all this in your life. How? Well, detox yourself, then you're gonna detox all this literally. And at the same time, you're gonna have more mental clarity to create the good vibes. That's why it's important to juice. Also, the enzymes is gonna fuel up you at a cellular level, which is going to allow you to be able to be vibrant, to have that vibration, high vibration at a energetic cellular level. And that will translate into life. So when you drink good and you eat good, you'll start shining. Am I not glowing? I know I'm glowing. That's because I've been eating good, right? I've been eating the things that has been better for me. So that has enlightened me more because I've been eating better, right? So we must eat well. Not just the foods that we take in our bodies, but the food that goes in our mind. Eating well also has to do with conversation. And I talked about that if you are in a relationship with people and it might be toxic. And every time you look in the mirror and it's toxic and you get confirmation that you are the same, then what that means is your circle has gotten you in an ignorant trance. Now, an ignorant trance is when your ignorance caused you to be in a trance. So you might be in a toxic environment draining you every single day, but because you've ignored it so much, you became in a trance where it's just going automatically, and you do it automatically, and you don't even want to be in this situation. And a lot of times, it has to do with the love relationship. A lot of times, the very person you are directly sharing your energy with is causing you to be toxic. Literally. Literally, you're bringing in toxic energy into your walk. Forgive me for that one. No, that was funny. Don't forgive me. Just be your doggone self, Ed. Kids, I want to make this kids friendly so your kids can watch the video. That's why I try not to curse. I think about the future. Well, anyways, you want to ensure that you guard your energy and don't accept any toxicity in your life because toxicity also promotes toxicity. What do I mean by that? Here's what I meant. I said yesterday I drank a soda, which I should have never done. I forgive myself for doing it. It was a sin to my body. I felt trash. Never doing it again. If you drink soda every day and you drink soda, it just seems like a regular day. If you eat meat every day and eat another meat, it doesn't feel trash. It just feels regular because you're in an ignorant trance. You don't know that it's not good, so you don't know what you don't know, and it feels normal. But the normal could be trash. It could be lethargic, tired, and you're just so, and you're like, what's wrong with me? But you just don't know it because you're in an ignorant trance. So I'm here to get you out of that by just letting you know. So when we in that state of toxicity, toxicity promotes toxicity. So it means that it wants you to remain the same because like attracts like. Like attracts like. So you must promote good vibes within yourself so you can receive good vibes in others. You must set standards of good vibrations and also give good vibes. Give things by giving good vibes and set standards of what vibes you will allow in your life. And at that point, no negative advice or vibes can stand against you. That's my message, and I'm sticking to it. It's a holistic motivator, and I want to thank the Most High for using me for another personal development session. I want to be in service to you. You're watching this and you're like, this was inspiring to me. I'm in service to you. Every day I'm learning how to be more in service. Of course, when we try to be the way that we were created to be, it's a challenge between ourselves. Like, I know this is where I can be, where I can evolve to, and the person I can be like. But then we're always going to have the human nature pulling us back. So I always want to say to you that don't take my word for it. Don't even take my actions for it, right? But take my intention as pure. And take my words as not just my words, but as me being a vessel communicating them to you. And your spirit has this automatic filtration function that could dictate the truth from the BS. So I don't have to tell you that this is true. Just make sure you come to the product of your own conclusion. But be conscious of your light. Share it, don't dim it. Because if you don't share it, then the world forever miss all your talents, all your gifts, and all the great things you have to offer. So remember, let your light shine. Don't hide it. Don't dim it. And you want to support the podcast? Send a donation to Cash App Ed Talks. I decided I'm going to leave part of my life in giving. So I decided I'm not going to charge for certain things because I realized that some people can't afford them. So that's why I don't charge for certain things. So that's why I've been creating part donation, part subscription model. So if you want to support the podcast, send a love, gratitude. I say love and gratitude are the greatest emotions to the cash code Ed Talks. And what that just does is allows me to continue to carve out time for the podcast to do it every day, like a workshop, right? And that allows me to put more time into it and make it as good as I possibly can. So remember, only accept good vibes in your life. And let me give you a good advice. Make it a habit to say this around your friends. Bring your vibration higher, higher. Your vibration is low right now. Bring it up higher, higher. What does that mean? Not only do you say that for yourself, but say that to your friends because it'll allow them to see when they're not being themselves. Just say, hey, you're not you when you're spiritually hungry. Get your vibration higher, higher because you're not you when you're hungry. You're not you when your cells are hungry. You're not you when your soul is hungry. So come on, get your vibration up. Higher, higher. Thank you for watching. Let's do some breathing exercises to get you your vibration up. I did this for a whole hour today, but hey, I felt the spirit was saying, keep going. Put your hand on your belly. This is your out breath. Squeezing the belly in and collapsing the diaphragm. This is your out breath. When you breathe in, you're supposed to fill air into your lungs, making an air baby. And that's supposed to inflate the lungs with air using your diaphragm. When you exhale, by pushing in and squeezing, you can feel that air. I'm exaggerating the motion for you so you can see it. So inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. So now when you inhale, air is coming into the lungs and it's pushing the blood out, right? Which means when you exhale, air is going out of your lungs and pushing the blood in. The inhale breath, though very important, but it's the exhale breath